Welcome to Six in the City, the podcast where 620-somethings talk about shit and some of them live in cities.
I'm Jen.
I'm Lexi.
I'm Nancy.
I'm Elena.
I'm Jane.
And I'm Robin.
Welcome to season 2, bitches.
Welcome to season 2, besties.
Yay!
Season 2.
Yeah.
Yay, I'm sure you all missed us during our short little break, but we're back and we're excited for today's episode topic. We're going to be talking about ourselves and our friendship.
As always.
As always.
As
I'm sure you all are interested, but no, we're going to be talking about adult friendships and how we've maintained to keep in touch, especially after college and especially moving to different cities. But yeah, so to get started, if you are coming into this with no context, we actually talked about our origin story and how we met in episode 12 of the previous season. So be sure to check that out if you haven't already. But kind of moving forward, if everyone can describe what your friendship style is like, I think that would be really interesting because I think there's definitely some similarities, but definitely some differences across all 6 of us. So for our listeners, if you want to start with your name and then describing your friendship style.
Sorry, what do you mean by a friendship style?
Like your love language, or like if you think you're more low maintenance, you don't really need to talk every day.
Okay.
What you look for in like an ideal friend, any of those things that you would use to describe.
Okay.
And yeah, maybe we should say our names because apparently we all sound alike.
I don't believe that.
I don't know. Who said
It's
that?
not true. There's no way. Oh, okay.
Sorry.
I got mine. So I'm Lexi, in case you can't tell us apart. And I would say that my friendship style can best be described as the weird aunt who brings you presents you didn't ask for.
Wow.
I can confirm.
And you ask like who we look for friends. I can be friends with anyone as long as they're not like a bad person. I mean, I feel like that's so arbitrary, but like I have friends who are so different and from all sorts of different walks of life. I don't think I have a particular type of friend I attract.
I feel like that makes sense with your descriptor of being the aunt.
Everyone needs a weird aunt.
Yeah. The
Everyone.
aunt it's in everyone's life. So no, that makes sense.
Hello, I'm Jen. And I think similar to Lexi, I would describe my friendship style as like I'm the youngest in my family, like I'm the maknae, and I feel like that does reflect the kind of friendships I have. I feel like I depend on you guys a lot, or like my friends in general, just like my natural tendency of like always being the youngest. Like even in this group, Elena and I are the youngest ones, and I feel like in some ways that affects how I interact with you guys. And yeah.
I can go. Hi, I'm Elena. I feel like Jen described hers very well and it reminded me of mine. So I'm an only child. And I feel like that really describes my friendship style. Like I'm very independent. I'm also like a cat, like I don't really want attention, but then sometimes I'll like come through for attention, but then I'll just like leave again.
Like a cat is so accurate for you.
That's
I would have
so
never thought of that, but that is so accurate.
Yeah.
Yes,
No,
kitty,
that's so true.
kitty cat.
Hi, I'm Nancy. I was trying to think. I actually was Googling friendship styles to see what popped up, but it was all like psychology type stuff. So I don't think that's the vibe we were looking for. But I've been described as like the mom of the group, I guess. And I think it stems from being like the oldest child. I have a younger brother, but since we're, Elena threw in the cat thing, I like to describe myself as like, I guess, a golden retriever. I try to like make everyone happy. I think I'm really good at sensing like the emotional atmosphere and catering to each person's individual needs. And I guess that's like the mom aspect. And I really, really try my best to make sure that people feel heard and acknowledged in like our chats and stuff. So I guess, like a golden retriever, I'll just go up to anyone and like make sure it's being, that human's being acknowledged. So
What about you, Jane? You look like you're really thinking hard.
No, I am really thinking hard because I have no idea. I feel like a very low key, I have a lot of just like ongoing conversations with people that just kind of like never cease. And I think that kind of goes for like our group chat. It's like always ongoing, but I also have like individual ones. So I guess I don't like make time to like let's FaceTime every week. I just like rather talk to someone like consistently, like whenever I have time to reply to a text. Yeah, I think it's like very low maintenance. I don't know. Maybe
No,
this
I
is
agree.
maybe this is just my way of being like I'm a shit friend. Sorry.
No, you're not. You're low maintenance for sure.
No, that's good that you like keep conversations going because like
I
for
think
me,
that takes long,
yeah.
like harder.
yeah, no, I like have like one like really long conversation, then I don't talk to that person for like a week and a half. So I feel like that's worse than what you do, honestly.
I guess.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. But it's like, okay, like I know Jen, something that I always like am impressed by is like how she remembers everything about everyone. Like even in school, she'd be like, Jane, you have that test today, right? I was like, dude, I forgot about my test. Like, how did you remember? You know? So I think that
Aw.
things like that are like very thoughtful and like considerate, but like I'm barely like, oh my god, it's like my friend's birthday tomorrow. Oh no. Yeah. I don't know.
No, but I think that that kind of bleeds into love languages. And I know like love languages is kind of controversial now because the person
Wait,
who
why?
created it, the guy who created it, his beliefs behind the love languages is based off of very,
Rigid.
yeah, or like narrow thinking. It's not very like applicable to everyone and like our diversity and whatnot. So I don't know exactly. Take it with a grain of salt. But I think what you said, Jane, really matches that because I know one of Jen's top love languages is words of affirmations. So she's going to remember something you say if you have a test. But Jane, I think one of yours is quality time, right? So just like spending time with someone that means a lot to you. And I think other people will find meaningful as well. So it's like, it doesn't mean you're a bad friend if you do one thing over the other. It's just knowing each
Aw.
other's friendship styles. And I think that's kind of the whole purpose of this.
Snaps to that.
But that's funny because Jane described herself as being low maintenance. And I would describe myself as low maintenance, but completely opposite of Jane, where I really cannot hold consistent conversations with people. And I could go months, even years without talking to someone. And then when we do pick up, I still feel close to them. I still feel like we're good friends and on good terms. And just like the thought of holding a consistent conversation with someone for so long, like with one single person, honestly stresses me out so much. I don't think I could do it. Like I think our group chat works because it's a group chat, but like an individual text thread. So I have respect for people who do that at Jane. This is Robin, by the way.
Oh wait,
I
I think
know.
it's also because like these aren't like. So I think it's also kind of bad because like I think this is kind of what I felt like during the pandemic because like I wasn't like doing anything every day. So when I was like responding to my ongoing conversations, it'd be more like reacting instead of actually responding. It's like in one year out the other. So it's not like I remember these conversations. It's just like a daily like a look into like someone's personal life. Like, oh, like what did you do today? Like, what are you doing? I did this today. Whatever. Like take that as you will, I guess.
But I would also say, I think a big descriptor for my friendship style for both like how I show my friendship and how I also want to receive friendship is acts of service. I think for me, more than words, actions are more meaningful. So that's definitely something. But that kind of leads into my next question. How have you found that your friendship style has either really complemented other people's or really clashed with other people's? Like, do you know that you really can't be friends with a certain type of people, or you can't really be close with certain types of people? Or is there something that's like such a turn off when it comes to friendships that you're like, oh, that couldn't be me and my besties?
I can't be friends with someone that invalidates my feelings and experiences. And I'm so grateful that you guys don't. You guys are so great at validating, sometimes probably too much, and like with condoning. But yeah, like I can't be with someone who's always like the oppression Olympics with them, you know, that term where it's like you say something and it's like, yes, I know, like maybe compared to someone else in a different situation, it's not as bad, but like, you know, it's still my experience and my feelings that I'm feeling now, or it's still your experience and your feeling. And I don't want to be around someone who's like always invalidating that. I think that's just a Debbie Downer. maybe I shouldn't say Debbie Downer because I hate when people say negative Nancy. I think it's just, I feel like, your friends are supposed to uplift you, not like weigh you down and be a burden. So for me, like those type of people are just burdensome emotionally and mentally.
So true. Every time I think about something that I don't like other people doing, I realize that I do it myself. So I'm kind of having an existential crisis right now. I don't think I would be friends with myself if I had like a,
No, what?
But that's a thing.
That's a thing, right? Yeah.
It is a thing. They say that the things that you notice about other people that you don't like are actually qualities of yourself.
Yeah.
God.
I don't need to start thinking about that.
Wait
Am
a
I a
minute.
mouth breather? Because my least favorite thing
Am
people
I
do
a
is
mouth
mouth breathe.
Oh no, you're not, Lexi.
You're really not.
Okay, theory disproven.
I'm dead.
Maybe it applies to the not like physical character.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's true, but I've heard that. So I think with what Elena said, that makes sense. But
All of these things that I like think about, I'm like, oh, like I hate when she does that. And then I'm like, fuck, like I do that all the time. I'm so annoying.
Wait,
you
like
know?
what? Like what? Give us an example.
My friend, she like tries to bring the conversation back to herself all the time. But then whenever she does that, it like bothers me. So then I kind of retaliate by like bringing the conversation back to myself. And it's just like not a good conversation by the end of it. We're both just like trying to talk about ourselves.
Wait, that's so funny.
Oh, it's
that
not
is really
good.
funny.
Like, I don't think she realizes that she's doing it. But if she is, then you both are just in this toxic back and forth.
Yeah, I don't know.
I kind of agree with what you said about the people who are like constantly, I don't want to say Debbie Downer either. I don't like using certain
Party
people's names.
pooper.
Yeah, or like contrarian. Like I'm trying to think of the people that I butt heads with the most. It takes a lot of emotional energy for me to spend time with. And it's the people who like constantly need to like negate what you say or like present some alternative constantly. Yeah, it's just anyone who like thinks they need to either like one up what you're saying or like give the exact opposite. So like if I'm in a conversation with someone and I'm like, my favorite pizza is Domino's, for example. And then they're like, well, actually Domino's sucks ass and you should try this little known local vegan pizza eatery. Like that shit pisses me off. Like people can have different tastes and I really appreciate when my friends give me suggestions for things because I like to try new things. I'm a very like adventurous eater, not just food, but I'm adventurous about like trying new things, even though I have a lot of anxiety. But I hate when someone makes a point to like shit on your opinion to replace it with their opinion. So those are the people that I cannot deal with. Do I do that? Is this the thing? How you were telling Elena? Like now I'm gonna be self-conscious and think I
don't
do
think
that.
you do.
Okay, thank God.
No.
I don't think
Because I
anyone in
think-
this group does that.
Yeah, I don't think I could be friends
Yeah.
with any of you if you did that. So I would tell you.
Yeah.
True,
No,
very
that's true.
I was just gonna say, I feel like we might disagree with some of, our opinions, which we do, quite often, like pineapple on pizza or like toasted bagel or whatever. I mean, it might be like a friendly like disagreement, but I don't think we invalidate like
Yeah, that's
that,
totally different. Yeah. And I like being challenged, like with friendships or even like dating and stuff. I like to have like someone who like has slightly different thoughts so that you can kind of have like a real conversation about it and like discuss something in a way that's not just like, I like that too. But there's such a huge difference between like discussing two things that like are slightly different opinions and like just shitting on someone's feelings and constantly shitting on that person. I really like the yes and from improv. I really think that's a philosophy. I've seen some professors use it too, which I think is kind of cool. So it's like yes and then you can like continue the conversation. If I'm like slightly changing a topic in a conversation, I try and show that I'm not like invalidating what the other person just said. I'm just adding to it, even if it like shifts the subject a little. So yep, yes anding.
Okay. So for this next question, since we're talking about specifically adult friendship, how has your view on friendships changed since you were younger versus now?
I think for me, like when I was younger, I used to think that like I had to do everything with my friends. But I've definitely grown out of that the older I've gotten. Like I actually saw a TikTok the other day where this girl was like, I know I matured when if a friend was visiting the city I live in, like I wouldn't be offended if that person didn't reach out to me to hang out in the city or like show her around. And I like very much relate to that now. Like I feel like I don't have to do every single thing with my friends like every single day, which I used to think. And like I know now, like if any of you guys visited New York, I wouldn't feel offended if you didn't, input me into your travel plans, because that's just like life and like everyone's busy. Like I'm not entitled to everyone's time. So I guess that's something I've learned as I've grown, becoming a bit less dependent.
I'd say up until recently, I was still feeling this way right after we graduated. But like I was really insecure in my friendships. And like I always thought that if they don't reach out to me or they don't invite me something to like what Jen had mentioned earlier, if they don't invite me to something, that means they don't like me and they don't value my friendship when it's obviously not the case at all, right? I would always, think like, oh, like if I say something in the group chat and no one mentions it or no one like acknowledges it or like why it's been like a week or so, like why hasn't this person texted me when I could very well reach out to that person, right? But like I was like insecure in the aspect of like double texting or like being an annoyance and it's like why am I not on the top of their mind? But then you grow older and you realize that everyone's busy, like, and I think that's when I realized like, oh, I'm a busy person, so would everyone else. And I realized that if I am feeling that way, it's okay to double text, it's okay to reach out. Like, why do I have to wait for that person to? So it took me a while to realize that. But I think now I'm like definitely feel more secure in my friendships, not just with you guys, but like with other friends as well. And I can truly identify like who are my close friends that are lasting.
I feel like for me as an adult, I've learned to like rely on my friends more, which is kind of the opposite of what everyone's been saying. But like thinking about it, up until like middle school, I was kind of like bullied and I didn't have a lot of close friends. So I kind of was like, what's that word? Like,
A free
not
wolf,
Lone wolf.
a lone wolf,
not really that.
Wallflower.
No, like that word.
Free
Okay,
spirit.
a main character.
no, none of the above.
Villain.
I mean, like kind of wary. Like I didn't really want to like be close and like open myself up to people. And then like in high school, that kind of kept going because like my friend group was like kind of toxic and like people were like low key awful, except for like one girl who's like still my close friend. And then like even freshman year, there was like a lot of drama, and I was like, I can't trust bitches anymore, But then like I don't know, I feel like being friends with you guys made me realize that I can like depend on people and like open up to them and like talk about my problems and stuff like that. That's it.
Oh, Elena.
Aw. No, I completely relate to that, Elena. I was the same way. And so that was interesting because like everyone's saying the opposite, but we're also so similar. So I feel like I'm not surprised by this. But yeah, like when I was younger, I was so reserved. And like I had I've always been the type of person who had like a few close friends as opposed to being friends with everyone. But even with those close few friends, I always thought I was close with them because they opened up a lot to me and I would validate their feelings and go through all these things with them. But it wasn't until someone told me back then that they don't really know who I am because I don't open up that I realized, and it was like one of those instances or I thought we were closer than they thought we were because of that. And so, especially I think in college, I've opened up a lot more. Previously, a lot of like rants and stuff like that would be very surface level. Like I also wouldn't be the person who would tell my best friend in quotes if I had a crush on someone. Like I would just keep that to myself. If something difficult was happening, yeah, I would just keep it to myself. Like I wouldn't tell my friends. But I would absolutely love to hear from them. If they wanted to share that, I'd be there for them. But for me, I just kept it to myself. And I realized like opening up yourself like that is very vulnerable. And then you're opening up yourself to people's opinions about yourself. And when you're not like ready for that, or if you lack a lot of confidence, not to say that you lacked confidence, Elena, but for me, in my case, I lacked a lot of confidence. But yeah, if you lack a lot of self-confidence, then literally any opinion, positive or not, like it's going to affect you way more than it should. And so opening up like that was definitely something I learned to do more in my adult friendships.
Yay for growth.
Yay. I also think as you get older, it's kind of like, okay, well, what, I'm not really interested in like making new friends. But at the same time, like it's so hard. Like I think the new friends I've made is through work. That line of like colleagues to friends is like kind of very blurred and vague. Like there are many things still wouldn't tell them because we still work together.
Right.
And I don't know like how you're supposed to meet new people that aren't work colleagues as an adult, especially through the pandemic.
I guess,
Anyone
like,
knows,
clubs.
please tell me.
Like clubs or like
Meetups I heard people do, but like I
yeah.
don't know, that just sounds like very weird.
Gyms,
Soul
gym.
like
cycle.
boxing.
Yeah. I would say like the gym.
I'm too self-conscious at the gym to put
I
myself
would
out there.
never talk to people at the gym. Like
But if you join like a class, like even if it's a
yes.
fitness class or like a cross stitching club or something.
Listen, if there's a Reno cross-stitching club, I'm there, but I highly doubt.
When I was like, post-grad depression, trying to figure out being secure in friendships, reach out to people through your cohort, like you're in school. So I like really put myself out there. I like looked through each person's profile that said they were in the area because it's online, like not everyone's in the area. And I like sent this like blast email to all these people and was like, would anyone like to have a study date? And only one person responded, but she and I like are still friends. Like, so it like worked out. And then, we were able to work together. I don't know about you, Jane, because you brought it up. Like, how do you, like, if there should be boundaries or not between colleagues and like friends and all of that? I have some of my colleagues, like actual friends, and like, I'll text them like outside of work, but I don't share everything. But I think my bond with them is different because even if I vent about work to you guys, like you guys still would never know like what I'm going through, but my coworker would. So I feel like that bond is different. And, obviously it's a pandemic and everything, but you would go out to lunch or you go out to happy hour and it's like a different kind of friendship. And I would call like some of these people, like I still stay in contact with some people from my old jobs. So, they're like my friends, yes, in a way, but like they were like my coworkers or ex-coworkers, but like now they're my friends. But at this point in my life, I don't need to make new friends. I feel secure in my friendships. I'm like very satisfied, but I'm also lucky in the sense that I still have people in the area that I know. If I was like in a totally new environment, I would definitely feel lonely. Like I would still want that like face-to-face human interaction.
I think I'm the same way. Like I have work friends. We vent about work. We talk shit about work all the time. But like I would never like talk to them about like more personal things. Like there's some work people that from like previous way past projects that are like yeah, like Instagram, whatever. And then like some people from like my start cohort, whatever. But like I don't know. I think as I like started working, I'm like, oh, I feel like I need to draw a line. So I don't really like follow people from work on social media. But
Oh, really?
yeah. Yeah, I think in terms of work, as long as I can like banter with people on a day-to-day basis, like they don't need to know my personal life. Like as long as I'm like on good terms, like do work with them, it's fine.
No, but I also realized that when I was developing these questions, I realized that I don't want to speak for everyone here, but I feel really privileged because I have such strong friendships with people from college and from before that I feel like I'm not in a place where I need to make new friends. And I feel like that also with what Nancy said earlier is I'm in an area where I do have existing friends already. So that need to make new friends as an adult is not as prevalent. And I realize that that is reflected in the questions I'm asking today. Whereas if I was in a different position, this conversation would probably be geared towards like, how do you make friends in a new city? And maybe that would be more helpful for Lexi right now as she's in like a brand spanking new city.
But like, I'm so thankful for like technology because I don't feel like, yes, it sucks to not have someone to like go get boba with or like go get your nails done with. But like that's such like a young person's way of having a friend. And like older people do that too. Like people go get coffee together. But like what I really need is support and like people to have meaningful conversations with. And I still get that from my friends that I had before moving here because you guys are just a phone app away. So like, yeah, I do feel lonely sometimes because I'm like, oh shit, I can't go to the boba store alone for the 4th time this week. Like I look like such a lonely hoe. But like when it actually comes to like, I need to vent about my dating. And honestly, I feel like I talk to you guys like so much on the Discord because I'm lonely and I feel like, oh no, I'm talking so much on the Discord.
No,
but
I love it.
It's like, I don't worry about having that support because I have that support. What I really would love is like some, I guess casual friends is probably the wrong way to say it. It sounds like a hookup, but like, just like someone to go get dinner with who like I don't have to have like a really deep connection with, and like we could if that happens, but like it could just be someone who like we like the same kind of food, and so we go eat food together and have really basic conversation, like a coworker, but
low commitment.
yeah.
Discord, please sponsor our podcast.
Oh yeah.
We should have called this like the Discord podcast.
Well, that was going to be my next question, is since we're talking so much about loving our friendship, what would you say is your favorite way to keep in touch with your adult friends?
Email.
We are.
Email.
I'm just
kidding. Best comma Nancy.
Well, sometimes I would get LinkedIn love messages from some of you guys when I used to work as a recruiter. But I feel like Discord is the only thing as a group, one-on-one, we would text each other, but Discord and Instagram is the only thing that we use. But Instagram isn't like where our conversations are. It's just sharing reels and stuff.
I feel like we got closer through we were pretty close, but the Discord is like just like solidified the glue. Like
I think like Finstas are also like a really good way of keeping, like I really appreciate having that as an option to also keep up with you guys, because we all, I feel like, use our Finstas like pretty regularly, at least more than like other people I know who like use it like once every yeah,
It's like a diary.
it
No, it
is.
actually is. I honestly
feel so
feel like
privileged to like be able to read your guys's personal posts and being able to.
I just go back on my own like posts. I'm like, damn.
I
what
check
the
your
fuck am
guys'
I going
Finsta
through?
posts all the time.
No,
I
honestly,
go through your feed.
whenever I go on Instagram, I'm like, oh, my regular Insta, boring. And
Oh,
I'm like,
I
"Ooh, let me check if anyone posted anything on their Finsta," and I like switch over to my Finsta account.
I did want to say that I really liked how we scheduled PowerPoint parties. We've talked about this in previous episodes before, but during the pandemic and like during height of quarantine, we blocked off time to do PowerPoint parties. And I still feel like I'm learning new stuff about you all through them, like your interests and your like deep cuts and all of that. So that's like another thing. That's a favorite way that we keep in touch.
Yeah. In addition to the PowerPoint parties, like doing Secret Santa still, and then doing Nancy's The Year of the Ox exchange.
Gift
That was like really
exchange.
fun. And then also doing Nancy's and Lexi's graduation ceremony. I feel like we've done a lot of events this past year.
So we talked a lot about the positives of our adult friendships, but what about for people who might be struggling to maintain their friendship, or they're wondering if it's even at a point to try and keep it? What would be some advice on how to maintain those relationships, or maybe not?
Don't force a friendship to work if it's not going to work, but also that's not to say don't put in any effort. It's just like what people say about dating. Like you got to put in some effort, but like don't stay with someone toxic just to stay with someone toxic.
Piggybacking off of Lexi's answer, I think mine is similar. It's kind of how you gauge interest in someone, or gauge how interested someone is in you. So then it's kind of like, I like to think about like the ratio of like questions and answers. So if like you're asking the majority by a lot, then I think maybe reevaluate that. Because if like someone's not really curious about your life, it's just like time sucking your finite resources, like time and energy.
Agreed. It should be equal, the amount of effort both people are putting in the relationship. Like people say it's a two-way street. It's like exhausting on your end when you are in a friendship where it's clearly not equal give and take. So like I feel like a true healthy friendship shouldn't be burdensome.
I kind of mentioned it earlier. This was like a quote from like some influencer that I saw. They said how your friends should be wings, not weight. And I think that really rings true. Some people's friendships are different and relationships are different. So it's not always going to be a 50-50 give or take. And for me, that's okay. But I shouldn't feel weighted down and burdened every single time I talk to them, or like feel anxious if I'm talking to them or going to reach out to them. Like I should be excited talking to you. Not saying that there's not gonna always, if you're a close friend with someone, there's always gonna be sometimes like serious things that you're talking about that might be negative, but they should help you with uplifting yourself mentally, emotionally, spiritually, however you want to think about it. Like you shouldn't feel weighed down and anxious and nervous and exhausted. I think that's the right word, like exhausted, maintaining or being in this type of friendship with them.
I love that. That was such a good quote. Something that I myself learned is that unlike when I was younger and a lot of my friends were like, we were all in school together, as an adult, you have a lot more ownership and there's no pressure to maintain a friend just because you see them in class every single day or you're on the same sports team or whatever. And like Jane said, your finite resources, your time is so valuable. You get to choose how you spend it, and why spend it on someone who's not going to reciprocate or value your time as much as they should. So I feel like as adults, it's like really you should feel more empowered to take ownership. Well, all great advice. Thank you everyone for sharing your thoughts in today's episode. For our listeners, hopefully you all thought of that one friend or your group of friends that you feel the same way we feel about each other, and that you feel a genuine support network, or at least you found ways to maintain strong group of adult friends in your life. That's it for today's episode, and another welcome to season 2. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Six in the City. You can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at sixinthecitypod.
This episode was edited by Robin, with music brought to you by Gandhira Pratama.